Hey there, and welcome to GamePoints, a weekly little get-together. We talk about the past week in gaming news. I am, as always, your host, Stephen Brown. Joining me today is...
David Smith.
Tonight, here on GamePoints episode 91, we're going to talk about the Far Cry 5 reveal. We're going to talk about Ashes of Creation and see if it might be a multi-level marketing scam or not. We'll get a little bit in detail on that. We have an update on a story from last week about World of Tanks and the SirFoch controversy that kind of broke out there. But first, before we get into all of that, David.
Yes.
You have rediscovered Crazy Taxi again because they released this on Android.
So Sega has actually re-released the original Crazy Taxi, because there's been some other ones that they've released on mobile before, but the original Dreamcast and arcade Crazy Taxi is now free on Android and iOS, and I've been playing a bunch of it. It's all there. It's actually kind of surprising. Like, the Crazy Box is there, the old school soundtrack, those 3 songs that you hear over and over again as you pick up people and drive.
Yeah.
Exactly. The only issue with it is it's like heavy on the ads.
Like first, how heavy?
Well, it's literally anytime you're about to load into a level, you'll get an ad. When I first started playing, it wasn't that bad. It was something I could just hit a little X out of. But I've hit a couple of them that are like guaranteed locked in 30-second ads.
Yeah. Can you pay to turn that shit off, or?
Yes, you can. It's
how
like
much?
$3.
Is it worth $3 to turn that stuff off?
Probably. I do really love Crazy Taxi. I haven't done it yet. But we'll see. If it pisses enough, I might actually just do it because I like the idea of playing that game. It plays pretty well mobile. Touchscreen controls aren't too bad. They changed the way you do some of the maneuvers, but it works. I like it. It's fun.
Does it have any of the typical mobile bullshit that you find in these games, like microtransactions or
anything it's like $3 or $4 to get rid of ads, and that is the entirety of the game.
Could you say that one more time? You kind of cut out there for a second.
It's like $3 or $4 for the entirety of the game.
Okay.
That's it. You spend a couple bucks to get rid of ads. You already have access to everything that was there in the first place.
All right. Just wanted to make sure, because you know how some of these mobile ports have some stupid ass stuff.
There's no cars, there's no anything like that. I think that's more the case in their newer Crazy Taxi games, but this is, like I said, the original Dreamcast Crazy Taxi on mobile.
Okay. Awesome. Then I guess without any further ado, we'll go ahead and get into the news of the week. Just wanted to mention that real quick because I know you were having a blast over that last weekend.
I think I'll double check, but I think it's actually called Crazy Taxi Classic.
Okay.
Make sure if you're looking for it, punch in Classic there.
Fair
so you don't get one of the new ones.
Fair enough. All right, so first story of the show here at GamePoints episode 91 is going to be a follow-up to a story we did last week when I was here just solo. And that is about the wargaming.net/SirFoch controversy that was going on. A brief synopsis of what was happening. A content creator for World of Tanks by the name of SirFoch created a video more or less accusing World of Tanks of adding a pay-to-win tank on there. He was not very kind to what he was saying. By no means was he even gentle about it. A lot of cursing, a lot of fuck this, wargaming is shit, etc. The problem is I think they call them featured community creators for wargaming.net. So while he doesn't work for them, he does get exclusive access to early builds, tanks before anyone else. He gets invited to their cons and all that. And he and a community moderator that does work for wargaming.net kind of butted heads over this. And it more or less ended with the community manager saying, hey, we're going to have to revoke your access to TankFest. We can't send you any more free stuff anymore, which is completely within Wargaming's rights, right? You agree with that?
That makes sense. The dude was getting some free stuff, and then since he was not necessarily working for the company, but well enough known in the community that he's kind of speaking on their behalf just because of who he knows and what he's been doing, yeah, they gotta cut ties if you're gonna be an asshole.
Of course. The problem came from the fact that when the community manager then went on to say, hey, take down the YouTube video or we're going to issue copyright claims against your World of Tanks stuff. That is where shit got heated, because you can't use the DMCA as a cudgel to silence criticism.
Yeah, that's not as good.
What
are you, Nintendo?
Yeah. In addition, when the gaming press got a hold of this and they were asking for responses saying, hey, what's going on here? World of Tanks insinuated that he was creating sexist and racist hate videos and they didn't want to be associated with that. A look through SirFoch's channel shows nothing of the sort whatsoever. Like, not even a hint of, you might disagree with my opinion and think I'm racist for having this, but it's still within line of modern think. No, it's like there's just none of that. That was all completely untrue. I didn't want to get into that part of it last week because that was still kind of a developing story when I went live with the show. But it sounds like, yeah, they were telling press outlets that he was a racist, sexist, homophobic, all this horrible shit.
Damn.
And things exploded from there. So much so that Wargaming finally issued an official statement, which I'll bring up right here. Statement on the SirFoch incident. Dear Commanders, we have further reviewed the incident of last Friday, which would be 2 Fridays ago at this point, involving SirFoch and his Chrysler KFG rant, or KGF rant rather. And we could have handled the situation a lot better. We strongly support our players, including our community contributors' right to speak critically about us and our games. We acted too quickly over the line when we threatened to have YouTube remove SirFoch's videos to copyright infringement complaint, and we apologize for that. We committed to doing a better job on this front. We're going to improve the way we communicate with our community and community contributors. And a part of that effort, we will work with them on a more detailed, specific guidelines to help ensure incidents like this don't happen again. Pause right here. This sounds like they're going to change their policy to say, hey, you can't say bad shit about us if you want to be a content creator. Which, I don't know.
Is that right?
I don't.
They can do whatever the hell they want.
Yeah, that's true. They can do whatever they want. But the way they phrase this, I don't know. We'll see how that works out. I just don't necessarily trust the way they phrase that. Going on. In big bold here. Our official position is that Wargaming will not take copyright action against opinions based on our publicly released content. Awesome. They're fully apologizing for that part. That's great. People have a very sensitive nerve when it comes to pulling videos for that are critical of your product when you claim that they're copyright violations, but you let other shit go. It's bullshit. We all know it. More and more people calling them out. For the second half of the story. Over the weekend, we released a statement to some media outlets regarding the content of SirFoch's video that inferred SirFoch's videos contained hate speech and homophobia. While we would obviously not want such content to be associated with our games, this video clearly did not. We apologize for this statement, and we don't stand behind those claims. Awesome. This is something that you don't necessarily see happen too often. This is Wargaming.net coming out and saying, we fucked this up 100% our bad. Rather than trying to go, he was out of line, but we said that they just straight up threw themselves on the sword on this.
Yeah, that's fine.
Good job, Wargaming.net. I appreciate you apologizing. This shit shouldn't have happened in the first place. You shouldn't have taken down his videos because of criticism. And more importantly, you shouldn't have tossed the words racist, homophobic, sexist around as weapons to try to justify pulling those videos to begin with. Because guess fucking what? Just because you apologize for that doesn't mean that that shit doesn't pop up in a Google search engine anywhere.
Oh, yeah. Well, because that's the thing, especially with stories like this. If there's slander on somebody, even if it's, not true, when you look that person up, you're going to see that story. Rarely do you see the story that happened a little while later where everything was retconned. You know what I mean? There's tons of articles where people were accused of all kinds of crazy shit, and you look them up and you still see that crazy shit, and people were all up in arms and raging about it, and it turned out to be nothing, but no one hears that second part. So
yeah, and
y'all fucked your dude, and that's messed up.
That is really fucked up. I'm glad you guys apologized. The situation shouldn't have happened to begin with, and I hope that someone is being held accountable to this. The DMC shit.
I'm curious to know who actually sent that note saying that it was like sexist and because it's probably someone, either like a media manager or someone in the middle that's just like, we're just gonna hammer this guy into the ground.
Yeah. The DMCA copyright for criticism shit, that's on one level, but the accusations that they were about, the hints and allegations that this guy is homophobic and racist, that's on a whole nother level of fucked up. So I'm glad you apologized. I don't think we're necessarily ready to let you off the hook on this one, but honestly, as far as I and this show is concerned at the moment, the story is dead, over with and done, and unless something develops from here, we probably won't revisit it again. That said, that shit's libel. So if SirFoch wanted to make a lawsuit against Wargaming and World of Tanks, he might actually have a case here, because like you were saying earlier, David, that shit persists even after they retract it.
Yep.
So if anything of that happens, we'll revisit it. Otherwise, probably won't touch on this again. We don't really play World of Tanks ourselves. This was mainly just a story of DMCA abuse and YouTube copyright claim abuse, and it kind of spiraled out of control from there. So we'll see how this shakes out. Next story, David. Have you seen anything on Far Cry 5 yet?
Dude, of course I've seen things on Far Cry 5. It's like the biggest story from last week.
Yeah, absolutely. Far Cry 5 has been officially announced. We did get some teases of it over the past few weeks and some leaks because Ubisoft can't keep a secret to save their fucking life.
No, but the best part is the fact that, okay, they're finally going to reveal this, right? We're going to know more about Far Cry 5. And it's not like, okay, here's a tease, then here's a teaser trailer, and here's a trailer. No, they released 5 fucking trailers for this game this week.
Various character videos based on the people who will be helping you overthrow this survivalist militant cult that has taken over the town, this town and area up in Montana. I did get a chance to I was rather invited to Ubisoft's behind closed doors press event to take a look at this. They went up to Montana to speak with some people up there to kind of get an idea of what the setting is. Lots of scary stories about some of the people there that I cannot share on the show, unfortunately, because it'd be fucking awesome if I could. But there is some actual, like, threats involved, and for their safety, I can't get into details about it, unfortunately. But the game looks awesome. I love that it's actually set in America. I don't think this is Ubisoft attacking the far right or flyover country or anything like that, because while they keep hammering home their 3 pillars of faith, freedom, and firearms, the people that are helping you are just as committed to that ideal. They are also people who are just like, I just want to be fucking left alone, and this motherfucking cult sets up next door and ruins my family or burns my church down. So I like to see it as both sides of the same coin, where you have your radical extremist version of the faith, freedom, firearms mantra, and then you have the pure form of it, the people who actually are going to fight for their land and fight to keep people from murdering them and the fight for what they want to believe in. So I like it. I like the setting quite a bit. And I don't think Ubisoft is trying to necessarily make a super uber political statement about this.
I agree. I don't think it's too much that, because a lot of people that are helping you are the people they would potentially be making a statement about. And I think it's more, hey, we found a cool new place to put this game. It's going to be up in Montana in some fake town. It looks pretty cool, though. I'm down with it.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited to play it. Like, I love.
I'll fight crazy cultists. I don't mind.
One thing that I found hilarious, when they gave us our little going away.
Is it the dude being chased by the bear? Because that's my favorite part of the whole trailer.
It's not. When I was leaving the press briefing last week on it, last week or the week before, when I was leaving the press briefing, they handed us this little press kit, and it was a burlap sack. And you open up the burlap sack, and inside were like one of those wavy American flags that you see at a 4th of July parade, and a little journal notebook with Hope County printed on it, some buttons. Essentially a bunch of Trotsky stuff that you'd find at a convention being given out these booths for free. But inside was also this small American flag, and if you unfold it, at the very bottom it says Made in China. Which I found hilarious given the theme of this game, and that it's supposed to be like nationalism to the extreme and foreigner get out. So just an aside,
they're not going to spend an extra $3 per flag for press kits.
Yeah, fuck that. Anyways, just something I thought interesting. A few more tidbits about the game itself did come out. You'll be able to play the entire story solo or in 2-player co-op. There's going to be a map.
For that.
Yeah.
I love co-op.
There's going to be a map editor, which is awesome. Map editors are one of those things where I always bitch when they're not there, but I do nothing with it. However, when you have those tools freely made available to the public, you get some really badass mods, and in some cases, entirely new games. Lest we forget, Dota 2 and Counter-Strike both came from mods of other games.
Yep.
So, it's always good that this stuff is released. PlayStation 4 players will be getting Far Cry free skin pack at launch. I mean, who fucking cares, but figured I'd mention anyways. And that the release date for Far Cry 5 will be February 27th, 2018. So early next year.
Yep. They're waiting. They're going to wait for all the holiday nonsense. They're not going to throw their hat in that ring.
Yeah, it makes sense. Not only that, it's just probably not even ready yet.
Here is the most important thing we need to discuss, though, about Far Cry 5.
Okay.
Because we can go back to Far Cry 3. You know, that game did some stuff right. More importantly, after Far Cry 3, we got Far Cry Blood Dragon. Then we had Far Cry 4. That game was pretty cool. After that, we get yet another revisit to the same island in a different theme. So my question is, what do you think the new theme is going to be for the Far Cry 5 mini expansion?
Real quick, was Far Cry Primal the exact same map on Far Cry as it was on Far Cry 4? I don't think that's the case. I think Far Cry Primal is a completely different game. It's the one Far Cry I haven't played, so my knowledge on it is very limited, unfortunately. But I don't think they reused the same map as in Far Cry 4. I think it's a completely different game.
I didn't think so. I thought they used. I thought they did it the same way they did Far Cry 3 and then Blood Dragon, where they used the base layer and then they redid all the textures and then they changed some areas around and then changed the enemies and added a new story. Because that's exactly what they did for Blood Dragon.
It would be using a lot of the same textures and everything like that, but you made it sound like they were using the exact same map. I just wanted to clarify if that was the case or not. If you're watching us in chat and you happen to know the answers, please, by all means, let us know.
I'm pretty sure it is. I'm pretty sure it's like the same game map, if that makes sense. Like, distance from point A to point B is the same, but the trees look different and it's more primal.
Yeah, I'm not positive on that, so we'll see. One more thing I want to bring up on Far Cry 5 specifically is that series is known primarily for its villains. Voss from Far Cry 3 was fucking amazing despite being only in half the game. Spoilers for a game that's a few years old at this point. Pagan Min was fantastic. It'll be interesting to see if the head of the cult, I believe his name was Joseph, is going to be just as entertaining and charismatic as the others two were. And it sounds like they're splitting up the antagonists a little bit in this one. Not only do you have Joseph, but you have his two brothers, Jacob and John, and their half-sister Faith, and they kind of make up the core family of this survivalist cult. And it's going to be interesting to see how those personalities interact and work with each other, if it's just going to be one personality overtaking everything. Either way, we probably won't find out until February when the game releases, though expect more details about Far Cry 5 a couple weeks at E3 during Ubisoft's press conference. Yeah.
Sounds good.
While on the topic...
it's quite a ways off, but I'm pretty interested to follow it. Anything that has co-op from the gate, I'm excited for.
No, that should be entertaining. While on the topic of Ubisoft, let's talk about Mario and Rabbids. Now, once again, another thing has leaked from Ubisoft. As I alluded to earlier, they can't keep a secret to save their fucking life. In fact, it's going to be really interesting to see if... I keep saying fucking interesting. I don't know why. It's words stuck in my head. It's going to be telling to see. I wonder if Ubisoft is going to have anything to reveal at E3 at this rate.
Probably not.
Because everything is getting fucking leaked. Like, they have a major problem with their developers and people talking to the press. And I don't know if they're doing anything to stop it or not. But another thing leaked out, this is going to be via WWG and Digital Trends. This is where I got the information from both of them. But a photo for the cover art, it appears, for Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle has been leaked. As you can see, 4 Mario characters, 4 Rabbid characters dressed like Mario characters. And this is coming from WWG here. They are claiming to have gotten this official picture from sources inside Ubisoft. And according to leaked documents, Ubisoft will officially announce Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle during its E3 press conference on June 12th. The problem is, there's really nothing more to fucking announce at this point because we don't know everything about it, but all the surprise is gone. All the oxygen has been sucked out of the room on this one. There has been some more details about what the game is going to entail as well. There's going to be 4 main worlds according to these leaked documents to explore. We don't know what they're going to entail, but reports suggest they'll be rooted in the Super Mario franchise and include many, quote, Easter eggs, tying into other games. Mario Rabbids Kingdom Battle will also be more of a turn-based strategy game as opposed to a standard turn-based RPG. And whether this means battles will take place on a grid or some other medium, we don't know. But descriptions of tactical options do include warp pipes, destructible cover, team jumps, dashing, and more, and it sounds like it highly suggests some form of a grid-based combat. Keep in mind, of course, all of this is rumor and speculation, but at this point, since Ubisoft can't keep anything under their hat at all, there's a good chance all of that's true.
We'll find out June 12th.
Definitely.
I mean, we've had an idea about this game for quite a while, because I think I
Yeah.
talked about this last time, that there was those Switch documents about upcoming games. We knew that there was a Nintendo Ubisoft partnership. We kind of rumored that it was going to be some kind of successor to, well, we wanted to see Legend of the Seven Stars 2, which were never going to happen. But another Nintendo and other company RPG team up, which looks like we're getting, but it's Ubisoft and Rabbids, so...
I want to say this was originally leaked by Laura K. Dale before the Switch reveal conference late last year. I want to say October or September of last year. I really want to know what the upper management of Ubisoft thinks about all these leaks that are coming out. Are they doing it on purpose just to get people talking
there's
about
someone that in the upper management of Ubisoft who is making these leaks, because he just has a friend in different presses, and he's like, oh yeah, we're doing this. They go get a beer, and he talks about it because he doesn't care.
Perhaps. I don't know. I'd be really interested to see what Ubisoft is doing, if anything, to stop all these leaks, because no other company is letting secrets out like this. I mean, leaks happen, but fuck me, Ubisoft. Do you have any project being developed that's not leaked?
We know everything that Ubisoft is doing all the time. Almost as soon as they know.
I will say this, they are aware of the problem because they do kind of make fun of it in Watch Dogs 2, where one of the missions is to break into the Ubisoft headquarters and steal footage from a new game. So they do playfully joke about it, but there has to be some higher up at Ubisoft who is just fucking pissed about all of this, if it's not deliberate. Anyways.
We won't know.
More info on Mario Rabbids, of course, will be out at E3, assuming that it doesn't leak before then. There's a good chance it might. I think last E3, we knew the entirety of the press conference before it even came out. I think someone actually was able to get a hold of, this is the games that they're going to announce, and this is the press release. And by the way, here are all the new games that haven't been announced yet. And they just put it out there because Ubisoft, once again, just to reiterate, can't keep a secret to save its fucking life. Anyways,
2 weeks.
Next
we'll
topic.
know the rest in 2 weeks.
Final Fantasy VII Remake is now going to be developed in-house, which kind of makes me go, huh? It wasn't being developed already in-house to begin with?
That's exactly what I thought when I saw this article, because it doesn't make sense. I'm like, wait, so Square Enix actually wasn't working on the Final Fantasy VII Remake this whole time? It was actually CyberConnect 2, the guys that made like the Dot Hack games?
Now, we did know that they were going to be involved in it, but this article from US Gamer here makes it sound like they were doing all of it and that that Square was just kind of supervising it.
Yeah, like Square said, hey, here's a license, run wild and remake Final Fantasy VII because we don't have time for that shit.
Yeah, fuck that. But anyways, from the article itself. Reports have come out from one of Final Fantasy VII's Remake's lead developers that the game would be folded into an internal development at Square Enix. Until now, third-party studio CyberConnect 2, like you mentioned, was working alongside Square Enix on the Final Fantasy VII Remake. CyberConnect 2, best known for their Dot Hack and Naruto games, was announced as a partner on the remake project, but appears that Square Enix is taking over the wheel. While there's no official word on why Square Enix is taking over for CyberConnect 2, Kotaku reported an instance where Final Fantasy director Tetsuya Nomura complained about the trailer CyberConnect 2 made for the Final Fantasy VII Remake. Apparently, Nomura wanted the trailer in a more Square Enix style. Whatever the fuck that means, considering...
He wanted to make it.
Yeah.
That's what that means.
Well, see, here's the thing about that, too. If I recall, this guy didn't even know he was directing the Final Fantasy Remake until after they announced the Final Fantasy Remake. I want to say there's an article of him somewhere, like, being interviewed about, hey, what do you think about this upcoming Final Fantasy VII Remake? What are you going to get for us? What do you have in mind? And I want to say he's quoted as saying, I didn't even know I was directing it until today. So
what's funny is that as much as this is a clusterfuck, and as much as I actually think this game is going to just be put completely through the ringer and come out pretty much near trash levels, it won't matter because it's going to sell.
Yeah, I want to say that this game is fucking doomed from a gameplay standpoint. I don't trust it. I don't think it's going to be good.
Oh
Square
no,
Enix,
I think it's actually going to be trash. It's going to be an episodic version that's switched probably into the new battle style from the newer Final Fantasy games as a remake of Final Fantasy VII. That's going to probably cut out a lot of the storyline parts that aren't from the major story. And whatever. It's going to be like Final Fantasy VII, the movie, the game, is what I'm anticipating here.
yeah, Square Enix
If
does
that makes
not
sense.
have much goodwill with either one of us. I do not have faith that they can deliver on this, but we'll see.
All that said, though, if they can pull it off, I will be first in line to buy the fucking thing.
Absolutely.
I just, right now, this far out, with every little piece we hear, I get less excited for it.
Not just this far out, but this game isn't even due until 2020, according to some recent reports that you're seeing around here. This and Kingdom Hearts 3, both games that have been in development for at least a year, if not 2 years at this point.
Kingdom Hearts 3 should have been in development since 2004 when Kingdom Hearts 2 came out.
Either way, neither one of these games are seeing the light of day until 2020, it sounds. What the fuck, Square? This is that whole please be excited bullshit you got ridiculed for last time. No, I'm not going to be excited anymore. Give me a fucking game, and then we can take a look at it and judge it on some merits. But
they're not paying attention to our new favorite thing, which is announce a game, release it within 6 months.
I know, and that is that Square Enix hubris that I have mentioned multiple times is going to end up fucking them. It's they have this arrogance about them that makes them think that they can do whatever they want and still sell a shit ton of copies. And it's starting to catch up with them as more and more people are done. The Square Enix is spending all their goodwill, and it has been happening year after year after year. And they're lashing out and doing things and blaming the American and European studios as what has unfortunately happened with IO Interactive.
Man.
Now, as we announced a little while ago, IO Interactive and Square are parting ways. Apparently, the Hitman game didn't do as much as Square hoped for. Imagine that, cutting the game up in 6 fucking pieces turned out to actually ruin the fucking game. And that's a tragedy because Hitman, when taken as a whole, is fucking fantastic. It is an amazing stealth assassination game. I highly recommend you take a look at it now that it's all out. But Square has to square shit up. And now they have separated from IO Interactive, and according to their official Twitter feed, layoffs have happened. Here's an update from the studio. As you can see here, today at IO Interactive, we had to make some changes to our studio, which will allow us to be better equipped for our future adventures. We're sad that great talent and good friends will be leaving the studio. We are doing everything possible to look after everyone affected. Thank you for your support and understanding. Fucked up. Because I am positive that this is because Square refuses to accept their own failings and are instead trying to blame their subsidiary studios in the Western world for their own problems.
What are they, EA?
No word on numbers of people who are leaving and exactly who is leaving. They could have fired 10%, 20%, or it could just be one guy at a desk now at IO Interactive. We don't know. Nor do we know how this is affecting any projects that IO Interactive might be working on. I still say that all this could have been resolved with the Freedom Fighters 2, however.
Oh, hell yeah, dude. That's all it takes. Freedom Fighters 2. I'm with you.
But sadly, my best goes out to those laid off by IO Interactive. It is an unfortunate nature of the video game development beast that when the project wraps up, people usually are let go, but in this case, it especially stings because of the way Square Enix just kind of tossed these guys to the wolves. It's a shame. There's nothing too much more to say about that, so let's go ahead and roll on to our next story. Now, David, you remember how a few months ago, around the start of the year, a lot of the voice actors, the union, SAG-AFTRA, went on strike against 20 to 30 game publishers, right?
Oh yeah, and literally nothing happened?
Yeah, nothing has really happened so far until
no one cared, because finding people to do voicing in games actually isn't hard because literally everybody wants to do that.
Unfortunately,
and with the exception of like 5 to 6 people, a lot of them don't have that much swing behind them.
Yeah, I mean, you get your Troy Bakers, your Phil Lamars, your Jennifer Hales. They're part of the strike. But for the most part, as much as I love these guys, and I think that performance does matter, that was the hashtag going on, performance matters, they are ultimately secondary to how the game itself plays. So I don't think this is going to work out too well for them. But it sounds like, despite those feelings of mine, SAG-AFTRA sounds like they're making some headways on the strike.
Sweet, go those guys.
Yeah, bring up this article here from GameIndustry.biz. Game companies are agreeing to strike terms, says the Screen Actors Guild, but they don't reveal who. Keep in mind, this information is being relayed to GameIndustry.biz by SAG-AFTRA themselves.
Not anyone else.
So it is going to be very one-sided. You need to look at the information on your own, determine if what they're telling you is the truth, because what are they going to say? We're failing? No. They are going to, of course, put a positive spin on this. Now, this could be good for them. This might be overblown for them. I will say, as I'm going through this article, they don't really mention, when it says it right up there, they don't mention who is agreeing to their terms. You don't hide information that helps your cause. So if these were the big names like EA and Activision, you would be hearing that EA and Activision agreed to these terms.
It's probably more of the smaller companies that are agreeing to it.
I absolutely agree. Let me go from the article right here. Some video game developers have agreed to pay voice actors royalties based on game sales. That's according to the Screen Actors Guild SAG-AFTRA, which has spent more than 6 months striking 11 video game companies in an effort to improve working conditions and compensation for voice actors. SAG-AFTRA mentioned in its trade magazine that some of the companies had agreed to residual payments. They offered a full day's wage for every 2 million units in a game sells, up to 4 payments at 8 million sales. However, the firm hasn't revealed which studios have agreed to those payments. The 11 companies included with strike are the following: Activision, Blind Light, Disney, EA, Formosa, Insomniac, Interactive Associates, Take-Two, Warner Brothers, VoiceWorks, Discovery Films. You ask me, it's the smaller guys. Because if it was Activision, if it was Disney, if it was EA or Take-Two or Warner Brothers,
they would put that in the article. They'd have no
would
reason to not say that information. Like, hey, guess what? Our strike has worked. EA is behind us. We know now that what we're doing is right. We have momentum behind us. Now we're going to really double down and focus our efforts on those remaining companies that aren't allowing us to get paid what we feel we're worth. But none of that happened. They just said, hey, guess what? Some of these companies are actually starting to buckle.
Absolutely. Because if it was EA or Activision that gave in, then they would use that information to hammer the other one.
Like, yeah, that'd be the title of the article.
Yeah, let's say, for example, EA gave in. They would go up to Activision and go, hey, EA is giving into our demands. We're going to be doing a lot of quality voice work for them, as your games are going to sound like shit.
Yep.
And they would use that as a negotiation tactic. This isn't good.
Well, we've been saying that for 6 months, and to be fair, 6 months ago we thought this was going nowhere, that we wish them the best. This is at least, I mean, it's a puddle. It's not like an ocean of change or anything, but it's still movement. Because when's the last time you even heard about the fact that they were still striking?
Yeah, it's been a while. And it's the third longest strike in Hollywood history right now, overtaken by, I want to say, one in the 40s that turned really violent, actually, and one in the late 90s, early 2000s. I'm not positive on that one, though. But this whole story is fucking heartbreaking, because I typically am not a strike guy. I'm pretty much anti-union. I think they tend to be very corrupt. But the shit they're asking for, to me, makes sense. Because in any other medium, this would fucking apply. But the problem is, as we touched on earlier, I don't think people really care all that much about the voice acting, despite the fact that the voice acting brings a lot to a video game.
Well, here's the thing, is that people won't recognize the voice, and they won't know who it is. But if you take the good voices out and you put in crappy ones, people are sure to notice.
Yeah.
Because there's games you played where it's just jarring and horrible, and you can't stand it. And it'll make a big difference, but people take it for granted when it's good.
Right. With rare exception, you don't know voice actor names.
A lot of times when people talk about, like, the Uncharted series, for example, they might talk about, the main character's voice, but they don't talk about the fact that they enjoy everybody else's voice and how well casted those games are.
Right. Not only that, but people won't be able to go, oh yeah, I love Nathan Drake's voice actor, but they don't know that it's shit, I fucking forgot his name.
Nolan North?
Nolan North. Or
I
they
skipped
go,
his name because I forgot it, but I got it back.
yeah, I fucking forgot his name for a second. Or they go, damn, I love Sully, but no one knows that's Richard McGonigal.
Mm.
Or Chloe Frazier is Claudia Black. I know these names. David knows these names because we're kind of deep into the weeds on this shit. The average player doesn't. So they hear actors going on strike. They go, who? Okay. Like the biggest name of them all is probably Troy Baker.
Yep.
I would say less than 10% of gamers know who the fuck Troy Baker even is.
It's a bummer.
And that's what makes this fucking tragic, because I kind of support what they're doing here, but the cold, hard reality of the situation, guys, is I don't want to say you're replaceable, but you're not overall that big of a cog in the overall development of a game. Because shitty voice acting is bearable. Shitty gameplay is not. And I said this when they started the strike 6 months ago. You guys are asking for way more than they're going to be willing to give. And at the end of the day...
But to be fair, it's the same thing as if you're going to go in and ask for a raise if you're trying to negotiate pay. You ask for way more and hope that they settle.
Yeah, we'll see how that shakes out, but they don't. The publishers have no reason to even settle.
No.
Worst case scenario, you go to LA and you pick up 20 to 30 starving actors on the street and go, you want to voice something? You do what they did for Grand Theft Auto 5 when they literally took members, I believe, double check the story because I'm not positive, but I think the story was they brought in actors for Grand Theft Auto 5 and they're like, no, this isn't realistic enough. So they just went to the streets of LA and took people off of the streets and went, you want to be in Grand Theft Auto 5? Yeah? Come in and record some dialogue.
Yeah, pretty much no one in that game's like famous.
Hey, Kappa Snack Bar. Wish your friend Nay Gores a happy for... Oh. Clever. You actually got me with that one. I appreciate it. Well done.
That was fantastic. Can't believe you did that.
I totally fell for that one. Well done, Kappa Snack Bar. The name alone there should have alerted me to what that was.
Sucker.
Well done. Anyways, next topic while we're derailed here. Let's talk about the fact that Dave is going to finally buy a Switch.
It's debatable, man. Debatable.
Monster Hunter is coming to the Switch. This is going to be via Nintendo World Report. Let's let this load up here. Here we go. New Monster Hunter XX Switch details released. They were teasing this earlier in the week, and they had a big event and reveal last weekend. And that, at least in Japan, Monster Hunter XX is coming out for the Switch. Capcom has revealed details and a release date.
That is the big thing that we know.
Yeah.
So far, announced for Japan only. No official U.S. release date acknowledged or even mentioned. However, the Switch is region-free, so if you want to import a game in Japanese, go to town. I, however, am sick of fucking playing Japanese Monster Hunter games, so I will not be looking at this until they say the words United States.
Yes, that is very important to stress, is that this so far is slated only for Japan release. However, I don't think they have any reason not to bring it over.
Yeah, plenty of reasons.
I don't think so. Monster Hunter XX will be out in Japan August 25th with a special Switch bundle. The Switch itself will have Monster Hunter branding, as you can see in that little picture up there. They will also support up to 4 system local play, which is fucking amazing. And the 3DS version of Monster Hunter XS will be compatible with it through the internet. Save data will also transfer between the XX versions and the original Monster Hunter X. Awesome.
Now, the interesting thing is the crossplay over Wi-Fi between 3DS and Switch, much like the Wii U did. But from what I understand, you can actually pull in save data from some of the older 3DS games. Not the newest one, but you can go back to like the older generations. And I think... I remember I was reading a list. Anyway, it's not just the newest one. There's
Well,
like
is it Monster Hunter X? What Monster Hunter Generations in America is?
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to be clear on that.
Yes, but I think there's an expansion of it, and it can pull from both. I'm trying to remember, but I can't find the
Not
link
only
put up.
am I not a Monster Hunter guy, there are so many iterations of Monster Hunter at this point, I can't even keep track of them.
Yeah, I don't actually care anymore because there's too many of them. And the problem, so here's the issue with Monster Hunter, is it's an awesome game, and I loved Monster Hunter when it was on console. I really did. I've been waiting for a console Monster Hunter for a really fucking long time now. The issue I have with looking at the Switch one is most of the time if you're playing it on the Switch, you're probably going to play it in tablet mode, in which case you're not really looking at anything better than what was on the 3DS in the first place. Because yes, I did watch the trailer, and it looks a little bit better than a PS2 game. Come on, fight me.
Yeah, Monster Hunter is in
It's a
desperate
cleaned up
need
3DS
of a coat
game.
of paint. It's in desperate need of coat of paint. What it needs
This
is
isn't what I wanted when I said I wanted a console Monster Hunter game. I don't
Yeah.
want a port of a game that's already on a mobile platform. I want a new, built from the goddamn ground up, bona fide console Monster Hunter.
Absolutely.
And it's just not going to happen.
No, because this is a series that, love it or hate it at this point now, has found a very successful home on mobile devices, handhelds and whatnot. It's never going to be a console game because of
and
that
then there's the fact that
co-op.
the way Monster Hunter games released is there's the original Japanese release, and then it gets translated and brought over to America with a couple new features, and then Japan gets mad, and so they re-release it with all of the extra English features plus a few new features, and then we finally get the definitive version. So the same game will have 4 additions. Go back and look at Monster Hunter Portable Second to Freedom United. There's like 5 games that are all the same goddamn game with some additional content added throughout. But it's the same map, the same storyline, the same everything.
It sounds like it's overstayed. That franchise has overstayed its welcome for you.
It kind of. I didn't even buy the newest one.
Fair enough.
And I have hundreds of hours in other games, Monster Hunter related. I want to be excited for this, but they just don't feel they're going to do me the right way.
All right.
But I could be wrong. Who knows? Time will tell.
And this might not even come to America. Once again, it's important to stress this is currently slated for a Japanese-only release.
Yep.
Although that Switch looks pretty slick.
It does look all right. I don't mind that. Dude, let's talk about a game that you actually really like. We'll go from a game that I really love to hate. I guess that'll be the easiest way to say that. Talk about something you enjoy.
And that is the fact that Darkest Dungeon has an expansion and has finally been dated. Now, Darkest Dungeon, hard as nails roguelike with a very Cthulhu, dark, Lovecraftian setting around it. Permadeath. I mean, go watch it on Twitch. There's going to be one of a couple hundred streamers streaming it at all times. They have an expansion coming out. It's going to be called the Crimson Court. They have finally dated it when it's going to be coming. And it is coming June 19th, 2017. That's
3 weeks.
3 weeks, yeah. That's damn close. I am super fucking excited for it. I love Darkest Dungeon. The narrator is fantastic. To touch back on the voice acting conversation we had earlier, this game would not be nearly as special if it didn't have such an excellent narrator to it.
Oh yeah, the narrator is pretty key. That game is super hard. What's funny is they kept tweaking the game, so when Darkest Dungeon first came out, they kept kind of tweaking it, and there was finally a point where you could play through the game, and there was some builds that you could successfully make your way through, because if you continue blinded opponents, you could then use your healer to heal up your entire squad if you're fighting a weaker enemy, and then continue on, because like we talked about, the game is super fucking hard. And then when that was happening, they decided to add the psyche mechanic to the game, where if you're in a battle too long, your characters will actually start to snap emotionally, which will then negate, like, mess up your stats. So sitting in a fight to heal became less effective because your character will still be screwed over in the long run.
Yeah, the developers actively sought out exploits like that, and were like, no. This is actually going to make the game harder if you do it.
So great.
But the Crimson Court, an expansion for an already excellent game, June 19th is going to come out at $9.99. It is going to feature a new hero class, new wandering boss called the Fanatic, new dungeon area called the Courtyard, new enemies, 4 new bosses, extra districts, which are going to offer bonuses to your estate, and a bunch of trinket sets, which apparently have set bonuses. What that is exactly going to entail, I have no idea, but it sounds cool. No date on PlayStation owners of the game yet when this expansion is going to come out. Hopefully not too long, but I'll probably be actually streaming this game come June 19th because I love Darkest Dungeon. I will be willing to play through that again with the new content on there.
That sounds like something you're going to do.
How about something that you're going to do? From a game that I love to a game that you love, let's talk about the fact that Divinity Original Sin 2 has also been dated.
Yeah, so Divinity Original Sin 2 has actually been playable for quite a while in a beta on Steam. You can buy into it for $30-$40. I actually picked it up as soon as it came out. I remember playing it at PAX, just falling in love with it because the original Divinity, Original Sin, was one of my favorite games. It's really D&D realized for me, just the way everything works out, the way the combat works. I really enjoy the world that they've built, the way the story unfolds, and it's just a solid RPG, really. Original Sin 2 takes all of that and more. They recently announced on their Kickstarter that we're finally getting a full-on release date for the game, and that's going to be September 14th of this year. And with that, a whole bunch of new content is going to be added. Now, if you haven't taken a look at Original Sin 2 in a while, or if you're completely new to the franchise, I would definitely keep an eye on it if you're into RPGs. If you're the kind of person that really liked playing the old school, like the Dragon Age games, Mass Effect games. This is a heavy story-based game that features a whole bunch of different characters you can meet to add to your party, and just fun shenanigans. One of the things that I love about this franchise is the way elements work, and that you can, hit a water barrel with a fireball and make a big cloud of steam so you can sneak through an area. They're adding so much more stuff. There's a relationship system in the game. They're adding a warship that you can pilot around and drive around town. Skill revamps, crafting system revamped. The entire first act of the game has been reworked for this. There's a new tutorial level, character building, improved AI, race animations, VFX, minimaps been fixed, bugs destroyed. I'm just excited. I can't wait.
Yeah, September 14th sounds like it can't come soon enough for you. It is a classic RPG, so think in the style of Baldur's Gate, or if you want something more contemporary, Wasteland 2 or Pillars of Eternity. I just could not get into the first Divinity Original Sin. I tried playing it. It's a really cool opening couple of hours, and something just happens, and it doesn't click for me.
Now, the big thing, though, now I mentioned this being a big RPG, but for me, the most important part is that it's actually 4-player co-op.
Was the Original Sin 1 4-player co-op as well?
I believe the original was 2.
Okay. I know that the co-op thing is a mainstay of some of the older classic RPGs. For example, Baldur's Gate 1 and 2 could be played every person, a separate person controlling each character that you had on there. So I'm glad to see that they're doing that.
The way it works is if you have multiple players, you can actually still hire or find additional party members in the story of the game, and then assign which player gets to control that. So I've played a 2-player game before with each player controlling 2 separate characters.
All right.
It's
well,
I actually like.
If you're interested in Divinity Original Sin 2, it is currently on early access, I believe, on Steam, and will be coming out once again September 14th if you want to take a look at it. Let's go ahead and move into the final topic of the news, and this is going to be
wordy.
Yeah, wordy is a good way of saying it. I don't know if you guys have heard of a game called Ashes of Creation or not.
Ashes of Creation, that game that made a ton of money on Kickstarter with one of the most successful campaigns ever, earning more than $2.3 million. Is that the game you're talking about?
That's the game I'm talking about. This information is going to come via PC Gamer and Massively OP, by the way, so thanks for you guys for collecting all that. But Ashes of Creation is a ambitious MMO, to say the least, that's on Kickstarter, and it made a shit ton of money, like David was saying there. The big kicker to the game is that it's a malleable world. So as the years go on, a village in this MMO could get bigger and grow into a town and then a city as you create quests and invest money back into the town. The world's supposed to change up and around it, but if a dragon comes on, it could wipe the city back down to a village, etc. The entire world is supposed to be changing depending on players' actions. And that sounds cool. Right? We can all agree that having a world that warps around you in an MMO is a good idea. It kind of sounds like what Fable was wanting to be as a single player on console, just realized for an MMO. There's one problem with all this, though. The creative director, the guy that's leading the company that's making this game, is a fellow by the name of Steven Sheriff. He's never made a game before. And he's made his fortune with multi-level marketing. Now, I can't use the other term that we know multi-level marketing by, but if you look at the back of a dollar bill and you see that shape that kind of looks like an inverted triangle on the back with an eye on it, it's one of those schemes.
What do you call that? Triangle that's got multiple sides? That thing.
That's called a pyramid.
Oh,
but
okay.
Because the way libel works in America with multi-level marketing, I can't attach, say, the word pyramid to the word, say, scheme, for example.
Oh, that's another word for plot, right?
Yeah. That is how Steven Sheriff has made his fortune. Multi-level marketing. That's that thing where one guy sells a bunch of knives to his family and friends and then encourages them to sell knives to their family and friends to make money, but he gets a cut of that money and so on and so forth.
Oh, but then those people that he referred can then refer more people, and then they can sell stuff, and the person above them makes, the person above that person makes some money.
Exactly. And the game has something
but how
called...
can that be in a video game?
Well, that's when you cue in the referral program. This page here is from Ashes of Creation's official site. It's the referral program. How does it work? Well, you sign up for an account, you get a referral code, you give that code to your friends when they register, and you receive 15% of everything they fucking spend in the game.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's like the more people that you sign up, the more money that you get. However, there is one thing that did come to light as I was researching this story. If you look at the misconceptions here, one of the big things they say is, quote, this is a scam, a pyramid scheme, to address that issue. First of all, if you have to defend that you're not a pyramid scheme, you might want to look at your program a little bit harder. They claim that their referral program rewards you for bringing in customers to a product of Ashes Creation, similar to a simple affiliate program like Amazon. Once again, we have a somewhat shady program. I'm looking at you.
G2A?
G2A, thank you. I forgot what they were called. Claiming that they're like eBay or Amazon. And they are somewhat correct on this. If you look into it, there's no cash flow upwards. Meaning, let's say I give you a referral to Ashes of Creation, David.
Okay, and I sign up for that game.
You sign up for that game. You spend money, I get 15% of what you spend in that game.
I spend $10, you make $1.50.
Exactly. Then let's say you referral someone else.
Okay, and then they're playing the game.
Yes. Now you get the money from them, but I don't get the money from them. I don't get any extra money from you.
Oh, okay. So even if they spend $10, I'll still get $1.50. I won't get $1.50 minus 15%.
Yes. So it's not quite like a sloped, three-shaped 3D triangle, because remember,
so
libel
that's
means I
actually a
can't
more
call
legitimate
it
referral program.
To a degree, yes, but here's the problem with this referral program. You don't actually have to be playing the game to sign up for it. So you're seeing a whole crop of videos on YouTube going, 10 reasons why you should be excited for this new MMO, or hey, check out this new exciting game from people.
And then it has a link.
Yeah, it has an affiliate link tagged on the bottom. From people who have no interest in playing it, know nothing about it, and honestly are misleading their customers and viewers so they can just get 15% of whatever they spend in that game. That is my problem with this, because this is something that these guys know about, they can't not know about, and it puts them into that same G2A category where they're not committing fraud, and it might not be as illegal as the people on G2A, but they're definitely profiting from people doing horrible, shady shit. I would say this is closer to how Steam profits from skin sellers on Counter-Strike Go. Or skin gamblers on Counter-Strike Go, rather. And they're willingly turning a blind eye to people making these claims. Either way, I don't know enough about the game itself to determine if it's good or not. But be sure to visit our affiliate link down at the bottom of the show notes on this episode when we're finished. I'm kidding. That's actually not going to be there. I will have a link to the website if you want to take a look at the game itself, or the referral page, rather, so you can read to it yourself. But there's no affiliate anything attached to it.
I'll post one on my page. It'll be great.
I
Come
just
get me some
don't.
of that sweet internet money.
I don't trust this at all. Something doesn't sit right with me about it. It could all be on the up and up. At the very best, the game itself is on the up and up, and it's going to bring out horrible people doing shit like I said on YouTube about how they're like, hey, check out this game. This game's great. Never having once played it just so they can milk money out of
You know how you can fix this real quick
How's that?
to make it so that it's people who play the game?
Yeah,
that
make it all in-game currency.
Boom. One step.
Yeah, one
All
thing
you
I
have
did-
to do is just change it so that, hey, if you refer somebody, guess what? And they sign up and they make an account, anything they buy in the game, your in-game character will earn 15% of their purchase.
yeah,
They don't pay any more for it.
one
But
thing
you
I
get a
didn't
little back.
come out and be obvious about is that it's not 15% in-game currency. It's 15% of what they spend cash money.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's really driving some of these videos coming out. Make it in-game currency, and we're good. Otherwise, you're kind of profiting
Although,
on what some
To be
shady
fair,
people
if
are
it's an
doing.
MMO and I'm referring people to it, chances are, at least the people I know, are never going to spend a fucking dime on it if it's a free game.
Yeah,
Because
but
my
this...
friends are cheap.
Yeah. Well, they're looking for those whales, right? That's that term when they say 99.9% of people who play, like, Candy Crush don't spend a dime on it.
But there's that one dude that spends
0.11%
$100,000.
spends $10,000 a year on it. That's what these free-to-play MMOs rely on.
Which, screw that guy, by the way. Get better games, man.
I will always give the following statement. The caveat emptor, let the buyer beware. Just do your research before you get involved in Ashes of Creation. I'm not saying this is a bad game. This game could actually be fucking fantastic for all I know, because it ain't out yet. It's not even done with this Kickstarter last time I checked. I think it's still running. But just be fucking careful. This has some hallmarks of a scam to it. The guy's background is definitely shady because multi-level marketing. These are the motherfuckers that will put up the bulletin boards like, hey, we're going to get $5,000 a week, and they tried to fucking sell you a set of knives. That these are the same people that do that shit. So there's already a lot of unsavory business practices in this guy's history. Just be careful and look into this be on guard when you look into this. And use your brain. I just wanted to bring that up. I just wanted to make people aware of it. And don't trust any YouTube video that has a referral link at the bottom, because they're literally there just to get money off of you.
Luckily, you can always trust your friends here at GamePoints. For more information on this and other stories, feel free to send us money at PayPal.
I was about to say Patreon. Now visit our Patreon.
Right?
We don't have any more of those
Patreon.
either.
I forgot Patreon was a thing.
Yeah, Patreon's way bigger than PayPal is these days.
I
anyways.
highly disagree. I am willing to bet that way the fuck more money goes through PayPal than Patreon. However,
as
for shit
far
like
as-
this,
Yes, that's what I'm getting at.
Patreon is superior.
That's what I'm getting at.
Just had to put that in. Anyway,
Fair
we're
enough.
about to run long, so we should talk about games that we can actually play this week and not all of this crazy bullshit that some of which isn't coming out for at least 3 weeks.
That sounds good. David, what do we got coming out this week?
So the big one for people that are into fighting games like I am is Tekken 7. Finally hitting consoles. PC, PS4, Xbox One. This game comes out tomorrow. Tekken 7 being the 9th installment of the popular Tekken series made by Bandai Namco. For those confused playing the home game, there was 2 separate games called Tekken Tag Tournament. That adds up to 9 total. Thank you very much. And this game actually came out in Japanese arcades in like March of 2015. So this game has been out forever. This is us finally getting to play it. So I'm actually pretty excited.
Any word
It's
on
the
the
first.
netcode behind it?
Not yet. Don't know.
Because with fighting games, that's possible that more than other games, because you have to be so pixel perfect on a lot of things. Having solid
I'm willing to
netcode
bet
is
it's going to be
critical.
pretty decent. So
Okay.
Tekken 7, if you are completely unfamiliar with it somehow, is a 3D fighting game. So you actually fight in 3 dimensions. Your character can walk around the other person and punch them. Don't think Street Fighter. This is a little bit different. And it's actually the first game in the Tekken franchise to make use of the Unreal Engine, which is pretty cool. The fun tidbit from this game is actually this last weekend there was a tournament that happened, I believe, in Idaho. And one of the players in that tournament, a guy named Cody, actually lost a match to someone played Tanakuna, and then immediately, right there, on the spot, without calling for a judge, without doing anything, went into the PlayStation 4 system settings to check the game resolution, citing the resolution potentially causing his loss. He didn't say it out loud, but everyone's like, why the hell else would you go to check the resolution? And he actually changed the game to 720p because according to him, in a interview done after the fact, he said that, yeah, multiple other players have said that the game can have frame lag on certain resolutions, and I wanted to make sure that I wasn't missing hits. Which, take it how you may. Maybe that's a thing with Tekken 7. Maybe that's a thing with certain fighting games, and he just wanted to double check. As it was, changing the resolution didn't do any good for him. He still lost out 3-1 that game, and didn't win the night, unfortunately.
Interesting. I've not heard that. That's I know shit about fighting games. I do know
when that story first came out, because at first we're just like, yeah, he blamed the resolution for his loss, but after they interviewed him, he's like, yeah, a couple people have said that they see frame loss at certain resolutions, and he just wanted to check to see if that made any difference. So,
okay.
Is what it is. Also coming out this week on PC, Rising Storm 2 Vietnam. It is a war, obviously it's a Vietnam War themed tactical first-person shooter developed by Antimatter Games and Tripwire Interactive. And it's co-published by Tripwire and Iceberg Interactive. It's an Unreal Engine Vietnam shooter, 64-player battles with like 30 different weapons. It's like a lower budget Call of Duty. It looks like it has vehicle. It looks like it has vehicle piloting, similar to like the Battlefield series, but obviously with a much lower budget than the DICE game. But if you are hunting down Vietnam-based shooters on your PC, then take a look at Rising Storm 2. Maybe it's awesome. Who knows?
I played the first one. It wasn't half bad. I wouldn't say it was a great game, but it was entertaining for the few hours I had with it.
If you desperately need a shooter somehow right now, go get Titanfall 2. But I'm actually saying you should maybe play Rising Storm 2. Also hitting this week for PC and PS4, this is the VR game that a lot of people have been waiting for, Star Trek Bridge Crew. It's a completely virtual reality action-adventure game developed by Red Storm Entertainment, published by Ubisoft. It's going to be on Oculus, HTC Vive, and PlayStation VR. It's actually so far reviewing decently well. This is the game that if you're a Trek fan or if you're actually looking for a fun multiplayer VR experience, this is the game that people are saying might be really entertaining. Very simple premise. You are playing as the Star Trek Bridge Crew. So you have the engineer who is looking down at the engineer console in front of him. So the helmsman can yell at them, like, hey, we need you to increase power to the warp drive, or whatever the hell you're going to do. You have the guy that's navigating. You have the guy on the radar. I don't know. Space radar.
Space star?
Space star, whatever. Yeah, Spadar. Anyway, the game looks pretty cool. I unfortunately don't have a VR headset, so I will not be participating.
It sounds like the biggest problem with StarCraft Bridge 2 is you need to go in there with a dedicated group of 4 people or not go in at all. And gathering up 4 people...
Because you can play single player with AI controls, but from what I've read, you pretty much just have to jump back and forth between every station personally.
Yeah.
Because you can't tell an AI guy to be like, hey, can you fly away from that crazy warp storm while also keeping our targeting crosshairs locked on this guy so that we can shoot him, so we're also not... Yeah, it's not going to do that. It's going to continue to move forward.
It's kind of hard to already get 4 people together to play one game that you can communicate solidly these days for some people. This has the added extra complication of it's VR. There are not many people who own VR headsets because of price alone. So getting 4 people...
Right? It's in 2 or 3 years when VR is cheap, and this game is only like $10, I'm going to be all over it.
Yeah, same here.
Also coming out this week for PC, a expansion to the ever-popular Sims game, Sims 4, Parenthood is hitting. If you're a Sims player, which No fault to you. I understand the appeal for the Sims games. They're actually pretty entertaining, especially if you're trying to lock people in a house so that you can make them churn out art to get rich. But this will actually really completely redo the way parenthood works in the game. Before, you'd have your characters, they would woohoo, as it were, and then all of a sudden you got a pregnant one, and a little while later you have a baby that turns into a kid that turns into a person.
Does it come with the Steve Martin skin?
Yeah, parenting is actually going to be a bit more in-depth, so offspring are going to be a lot more ill-behaved, rebellious teenagers, toddlers who bite and hit and get into trouble all the time. You actually have a parenting skill meter that you'll build up as an adult character, and the parenting traits will actually have long-term consequences on the kids. So they don't just grow up and get randomized stats like they would before, but you teaching the kid, hey, set the table, hey, try not to swear all the time, will actually change their adult traits when they grow up. You ignoring them and beating them all the time will also create fun new traits for when they grow up. So something to keep in mind.
What's
and
the
lastly,
last thing? There we
I
go.
don't know why this is last, but Perception is coming out this week on PC. It was actually delayed 1 week for PS4 and Xbox One at like the last minute. They released a announcement, I think, on Twitter in the last 2 days or day saying, hey, guess what, it's not coming out. But it's a first-person adventure video game published by Deep End Games, and it is a first-person horror game where you play as a blind person. You're basically seeing kind of like in an echolocation. I would watch a trailer to get a better idea what I'm talking about because I don't know exactly how to describe it. It's almost, if you think of the way the Daredevil show portrays like the blind guy seeing, it's kind of similar to that in the way you interact with the environment. But it's a horror game. No,
Remember that part on The Dark Knight when Bruce Wayne hacks all the phone, or Batman rather, hacks all the phones to see where the Joker's at and the way that looked visually?
Yeah,
It's similar looking to that.
that's actually a really good way to describe it. However, as interesting as that sounds, I would point out that it's currently sitting at a 63 on Metacritic with like a 50% review rating on PC Gamer. So not great reviews so far. We'll see what happens in the next day or two and see how players like it, because obviously that's all from editors and people in the biz. Who knows? Maybe it's your favorite game of all time. I'm not here to judge. I'm just here to tell you about new games, and that is the last one I have for you this week.
All right. I think with that is going to wrap up the show. Thank you, David. This has been GamePoints episode 91. If you are joining us live, we do appreciate watching. If you couldn't make it, and if you want to next time, keep in mind we do stream every Monday at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time here at twitch.tv/GamePoints. If you can't make it at that time, you can always watch the shows on YouTube at our channel. Just type in the name GamePoints, one word, we should pop right up. If you want to follow the show, you can do so at GamePoints PC. If you want to follow us individually on Twitter, I am Stephen Brown at Capitalist21, CapitalistPig21 rather. That is David Smith at palshife_Satori. This has been GamePoints episode 91. Thank you for joining us. We will see you next week, and we are out of here.